To another episode of Building the Pride, Troy Lions podcast. I'm the host, usually Drew is my co-host. I'm not exactly sure where Drew's at today. I texted him a little bit ago, like, "Oh, you coming on or not?" But I have not heard from him, so the show must go on. So we're going to kind of talk aimlessly about the Detroit Lions and see, just see where that takes us. Um, There's not a ton of news and notes around the NFL. This is kind of the off-season area that is not a lot of content. There's not a lot of things going on. We've got Aaron Rodgers. I don't remember if that was last week or not, but Aaron Rodgers finally signed. He is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. So good luck, Pittsburgh, with that. I mean, to be honest, he didn't play terribly last year. He played fine. It was not the situation in the deck was not on Aaron Rodgers. But I can't stand him, and I would love to blame him for their lack of performance. It wasn't on him. He actually played reasonably well. So I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to fit in the Mike Tomlin led Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll see what that looks like. Um, I was kind of flipping around a couple different places to see what news was out there. Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, passed away. So there's there I think the daughters, I believe, are taking over. Uh, if anything changes within the Colts organization, I hope not. It's a good organization. Going back to the Peyton Manning days and even since then. So RIP Jim Irsay, the longtime owner of the Colts. So the other thing I was sitting around NFL.com, and they had a few different things in there that I found sort of interesting. Um, they had an article on the most improved teams in heading into 2025. Uh, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting the Lions in there, right? It's when you're a 15-2 team, there's only so much you can do to improve. Who wins, right? And even then, it's tough to win 15 games in the NFL. So I figured we would not be on that list. I was not disappointed. We are not on the most improved teams list. But looking at that list, though, their list is the Arizona Cardinals. Um, they landed edge rusher Josh Sweat. They got Calais Campbell returning to the team. Um, let's see what else we got here. They drafted Walter Nolan 16th overall, so he should help shore up that defensive line. Will Johnson, the cornerback, he was really a guy that was tapped to be a first round guy. Ended up falling into the second round. They snagged him at number 47, which to me is a steal. So I think that's great. There's a lot of good things going on in Arizona, and I'm excited to have them on the list. The next one that they had on there was Chicago Bears. Obviously, they've got Caleb Williams. They drafted him last year, and he had best rookie season for a quarterback in Bears history, which is admittedly a very low bar when it comes to Bears and quarterbacks. But they grabbed a couple linemen, Joe Thuney, Drew Ballman, Jonah Jackson, um, to hopefully give them a bit more protection over there in Chicago. They grabbed Luther Burden the second. He was another first round guy that fell into the second round. They grabbed him at number 39 overall. Colston Loveland was their first round pick. I think is going to be fantastic for them. Kind of paired there next to Cole Kmet. So it makes sense. I think the Bears are going to, especially the NFC North. I think they're going to be the biggest improvement. So that made sense adding them there. I was a little surprised to see the Las Vegas Raiders on the list. To be honest, they traded for Geno Smith, and while I don't dislike Geno, but I'm also not super impressed with him. He to me is a 16th to 24th best quarterback kind of thing. He's in that, I don't know, what, tier four ish, depending on how you do your tiers. Um, but hey, he played pretty well for the Seahawks the last couple of years, so that is what it is. So he's over there, which is probably an improvement. Um, they've got let's see what else they picked. Ashton Genty, who was sixth overall. He was the number one draft, number one running back taken, and he's going to be electric, man. He's going to be fun to watch. And they added a receiver in the second round, Jack Beck. He was 58th overall. So yeah, I think they're going to be interesting. They were so bad last year; it's really not hard to have an improvement. So I'm not sure they're going to be um, trying to take over their division anytime soon. Next up on the NFL.com's list, the most improved was Minnesota Vikings, which I'm a little bit surprised at. I'm not necessarily, I'm, I'm not sold on JJ McCarthy as a franchise quarterback. He didn't super impress me when he was at U of M. Said he did win a national championship, right? His team that he played well during that season. So we'll see. I mean, whenever you have a rookie quarterback, it's always a crapshoot anyway. And then he got hurt his first year. So the nice part is they did get to sit him out a year. And Sam Darnold came in, played really well, um, better than anybody would have expected him to do. So McCarthy got to sit there and watch that kind of thing and learn. So I think that he's going to be pretty. I think he's going to have a better than normal rookie season for what, even though it's the second year, right? So um, outside of that, I'm not really super impressed with what the rest of the Vikings offseason looked like. So as far as I'm concerned, I disagree with the Vikings being on the most one of the top five or six most improved teams. I don't think JJ is going to be a for what Sam Darnold did last year. And to be honest, the rest of their cast isn't dramatically better than others. So it is what it is when it comes to the NFC North. We've got a couple teams that are going to be knocking on our doorstep. And then the last two teams that they had were the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. So they had they paid Milton Williams $104 million for 4 years on the defensive line. They pulled Carlton Davis away, threw a bunch of money at him. You got Christian Gonzalez, so they've got a good quarterback tandem. They've got Stephon Diggs over there now. Drake May gets another year. Has a year into the system. So I think it'll be really interesting. They grabbed Will Campbell in the first round. Forgot about that. So I think they're gonna again. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL. So again, it's not that hard to dramatically improve when you were so dramatically bad. Jets were kind of in the middle though, so they weren't horrendous, but they weren't great either. They were still picking in that like top 10, 12-ish area, right? So, but they did grab Armand Monroe, which I thought was a fantastic selection by them. They do have Aaron Glenn. I think he was a great coach for us on the defensive side of the ball, and I think he is a good leader of men, which is kind of the way that they describe some of these good coaches, leader of men, right? And I think he is really great. So between Membo and Fashionow, two former first round picks, to bookend their tackle situation on the line. Um, Justin Fields is there. What's going to happen with him? Is he going to be any good? Is he going to be not? That would be the big question mark with the Jets. I think they've got. they've done enough around him to actually give him something that he never had in Chicago, which was an offensive line and some sort of protection with some really quality ends. Left and right tackles. They've got a um, Mason Taylor was a second round, number 42 overall draft pick as a tight end. So like I think the Jets are actually going to be a big improvement this year over last year. So that'll be fun to watch. Um, and I think there's a few other things that are interesting right now. Um, they actually did a most improved players, that people that they expect to see the biggest improvement in 2025. So Brian Burns, the edge from the Giants, they said was going to be a big bump on his side. Drake Cooper, Green Bay's linebacker. I guess he added 10 pounds of muscle this offseason, so he can be a little bit bigger. Probably not much speed loss there either, because they said he looks as explosive as ever. So I'll be curious to see how Cooper does. Christian Gonzalez is on the list. He's going into his third year, and you've got another cornerback that's good on the other side, and Carlton Davis. So we give him a veteran to work with. It'll also take the pressure of having to always face the top wide receiver from the opponents. So I think their secondary is actually going to be pretty solid. And I think I can see him being a big bump in performance um, this year. Um, they also listed Debo Samuel, so I'll be curious to see on that one. I'm not sure. I mean, he did okay in San Francisco, and now that he's with Washington, they've got Jaden Daniels, who had an amazing rookie season. I'm really curious to see on Jaden Daniels. Does he actually keep this up? Does he have a second season that is even remotely close to his rookie season? Because if so, I think he's in the conversation for a top six, top eight quarterback in the NFL. I never throw somebody in there quickly like CJ Stroud last. His rookie season was one of the best seasons by a rookie in history. And I'm like, let's see if he can do it again. And last year they struggled. The whole team was kind of had some injuries and that kind of stuff, but he didn't perform as well either. So I'm curious to see, what does Jaden Daniels do? Does he have a season as good as last year? If so, and Washington will be real tough, and that does help Debo Samuel's ability to be that most improved player list kind of guy. So, um, and since they're in the NFC, they don't have that great of a season, right? They were the one that trounced us in the playoffs, um, and that was a real bummer. And I would love to see them not do well. Um, and finally, they had CJ Stroud on that most improved player list as well. So he didn't have a strong season last year. They did win 10 games, so it's not like he was horrible by any means. But I think he is going to um, bounce back this year. Last year, their offensive line was 29th ranked. And they traded away Laramie Tunsil, Kenyon Green, and then they signed Trent Brown and Cam Robinson, and also guard Laken Tomlinson, former Detroit Lion, to one-year deals. Traded for guard Ingram, so they really kind of revamped their offensive line. And they were 29th last year. This year can't be any worse, right? So it's probably a bit of a boost there. They signed Nick Chubb to give their run game some depth, and they grabbed Jaden Higgins. They grabbed Jalen Noel, that draft picks for their wide receiver room. So I think he's got a cast around him this year that's going to be better than this past year. Milton Williams, New England Patriots defensive lineman, is on their list. And then the other one I think is probably going to be big, a super huge question mark. And this is going to be a put up or shut up season. That's Bryce Young, quarterback for Carolina. He had a really, really not good, really bad rookie season. Got benched last year, got unbenched and started playing actually very well toward the end of the season. So I think Bryce Young, if he can continue that momentum into this season, I think he can be one of those big surprises this year. Panthers drafted Ted McMillan, eighth overall. They've got Adam Thielen and Xavier Legette, because Legette, on the wide receiver room. So I think that he's going to have some weapons around him that he maybe didn't have last year. Um, they've got a couple thousand-yard rushers in Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep putting more. Like, does their offensive line improve or not? Uh, and I think he's going to either go from a possible bust to a possible, you know, it, it's really tough to be a first round pick and either you're either a bust or you're a superstar. It's kind of the way it is. And this, to me, this year is going to be the time that is, all right, which one is he? Is he a bust or is he going to be a budding superstar? The other thing I found interesting on on NFL.com site was they started doing projected win totals for each of the divisions, and I was going through the NFC North, and they actually only projected a 10-win season for Detroit, which I thought. I mean, we do have one of the hardest schedules in the entire NFL. Um, I thought 10 was a little low. I think it's probably going to be 12, uh, but it's going to be tough. We got a really, especially on the road. On the road, we've got a really tough um, slate of teams. So they had us at 10. They had Green Bay Packers at 9. Um, it was 9.9 games this year, and see if I can find it here. The Vikings they had as 8.7. So there's 1.3 games differential between the worst, the Vikings at 8.7, and the best, Detroit at 10.0. So it's going to be a really tough, hard fought division. I think we're going to have more than that. I think we're going to have 12. I think Minnesota and Chicago are probably going to be right around that 9 game. And I think the Packers are going to be right around that 10 win, to be honest. So I think it'll be 12 for us, probably 10 for Green Bay, and then 9 for Minnesota and Chicago. So we're going to have one of the toughest divisions in the NFL again, which is one of the reasons why our schedule is so tough. Because not only are we facing um, the Baltimore Ravens on the road and Cincy on the road and Kansas City on the road and Washington on the road and Philly on the road, the Rams on the road. Like those are all really hard games. And also, oh, by the way, we're playing Green Bay twice, Minnesota twice, and Chicago twice. So it's going to be a really tough season for us. I think we can get to 12 wins, maybe more. It really comes down to, I think, what our division does. If our division just sucks and does not live up to standards, and if Chicago and Minnesota are 6 to 8 win teams instead of 9 win teams, then I think it's going to be because we've beaten them, we swept them, and that helps our ability to hit that 12 game mark. Um, I I was looking at some other things too. So again, this is just gonna be kind of a random news and notes around the NFL, um, miscellaneous mailbaggy type thing. So we're kind of into just random line stuff now. So I was looking at PFF, and they had and it's something I've asked a couple different people, but PFF had a article about the top receiving fours in the NFL. And all right, so where do the Lions rank in this? And when I had asked a question previously to some friends, it was who has the best quarterback plus receiver group in the NFL. And then when you start adding quarterbacks in there, then you can start going, all right, this receiving group is maybe a little bit lower than the others. They can have a great quarterback, so as a group they bump it up. So the PFF article really only talks about the wide receiver group. So let me share my screen here and get that over. Bam. All right. So spoiler alert: the Eagles are number one, and Tampa Bay was actually listed as two. The Eagles had a 79.1 PFF grade last season. They've got AJ Brown, they got Devonta Smith um, as a receiving target. They've also got Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert's not a bad tight end either, right? So I think as a receiving target group, they are really, really good. I was pretty surprised to see Tampa Bay up there, to be honest. You can't count out Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, great. Bucky Irving's also, really good. So, like, I think that they're depth, like Luka, McMillan, Rashad White, like, I think they've got a lot of depth. I just don't know if they've got the top end talent to be put in there above a couple of the others that are, defending the list. So, um, let's take a look. Who's number three? Cincinnati, right? They've got Jamar Chase. They got T. Higgins. I'd say Jamar Chase is probably the best wide receiver in the NFL, or 1B if Justin Jefferson is considered 1A. I think those two are in a tier of their own, and they're amazing. T. Higgins is a wide receiver one in his own right. I'd say he's the top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. So like just those two almost by themselves make them, way up there. And then really when I was, talking to some of my friends about this, I also had again the quarterback included in that conversation. And I think Joe Burrow may be the best quarterback in the NFL right now. So having Burrow, Chase, and Higgins to me put them at number one um, as a quarterback plus wide receiver group. You got Chase Brown, he's a good receiving back. Giuseppe was pretty decent as well. So having two absolutely amazing dudes out there gets him up there. And I guess Tampa Bay they got a little bit more depth with Luka, White, with Urban, right? So those guys are in general better than say Chase Brown or Mike Gesicki. So and then they've got the Detroit Lions at four, and sorry, scroll too far anyway. The Niners at five. I We got St. Brown. I think he's a top five wide receiver in the NFL. You have Jameson Williams. He's good. I'm not sure I'd put him in the top 10, top 15 in the NFL. He's got a metric crap ton of potential, right? It's not about does he not have potential? Can he be a top 10? I think he can. I don't think he's there yet. And unfortunately, for him, he's on a team that we spread the ball around so well. St. Brown, that he's going to get 160 looks a year, right? And he's going to get probably 125 of those, 120 of those as catches. And Laporta is great. He's a great tight end. Gibbs and Monty from the backfield are both going to get catches. Last year we had Tim Patrick, and this year we've got a couple guys. We drafted the kid out. It was the third round, I think. Isla or Tesla, Isaac Tesla, I think. And I'm just not sure where he's going to get the quantity of catches because we are so deep at ball catchers. When you start including your tight ends and Gibbs and Montgomery and those kind of things, like we're just so much deeper than the Bengals are. So those two guys can catch. Each of them have 110, 115 catches. We're just not going to get that because we have too many places to pass the ball around. And to be honest, I think that's where the Buccaneers, like Evans is great and Godwin's very good as well. Irving is good. Like, I think for them, they're also very similar to us, and they spread the ball around a ton. So you're not going to get, like Evans had 114 targets and 81 receptions last year. That's good. But that's not like Mark Chase, T. Higgins feeding them the ball all the time kind of stuff. So I feel like we're going to be the same way. And I think Jameson Williams suffers from that on the stat side of things. I think if he was the featured wide receiver in an offense, um, like I look at Kansas City, man. If he went to Kansas City, he would be the guy, right? That was Tyreek's uh, part on that team. He was the guy, and then he went to Miami, and then they struggled in Kansas City with the depth of pass catchers. So um, think that if Jameson was ever traded or signed somewhere in the offseason, a place like Kansas City would be ideal for him, where he could be that guy and get the lion's share of the catches. Unintended, by the way, lion's share. The Niners, they Ayuk is great. McCaffrey, I mean, if he plays, that's fantastic. He can catch the ball really well out of the backfield. Um, Kittle's there. He's probably one of the top 10-ish tight ends in NFL history, playing really, really well, high level right now. Um, so I think that they're good. I'm just not sure if those two do enough. And Kittle, if they do enough to boost over some of the other guys or the other teams. I just don't think they have the depth at the high end player, especially with Devo Samuel getting traded away. They got the Vikings and Dolphins at 6 and 7. Um, and I think the Vikings have got Addison, they've got Hawkinson, they've got Justin Jefferson. Even when you start adding in guys like Jones, Dalton, Rondell Moore, Gordon Mason, like to me, I think the depth of and the quality of that depth is just bigger than San Francisco. I would put Minnesota above them. Um, the Dolphins, great. I think is all riding on Tyreek Hill. Um, Jalen Waddle's good too. Don't get me wrong, but I think Tyreek is one of the guys that is like, all right, he's on their team. He's a threat, like a huge threat, and so we're going to keep them kind of artificially inflated. If he has another down season like he did last year, I think this is a big um, over ranking with the Dolphins. The Rams are at 8. I would put the Rams higher than that. I know Drew would give me crap because he thinks I watch through a Stafford color glasses, which is impartial. But when we're just talking about the wide receivers, I think Devontae Adams is still a top 5, top 6 wide receiver in the NFL. Puka Nacua also in that 5-6 range. And I don't think you can have two guys that high and not be higher on this list. Tutu Atwell's okay. Worthington, Tyler Higbee, he's okay. He's nothing special, but he's fairly reliable as a tight end catching the ball. So he's not going to be like a George Kittle or Travis Kelce, like rock star high end guy, but he's going to be like Brandon Pettigrew was for Detroit back in the Stafford times. Not not elite, but when you throw the ball to him, he catches it, right? So I think that I would put Rams higher. I would probably put them in that like 4 or 5 range, to be honest. A bunch ahead of several of these. I put them ahead of San Francisco for sure, Minnesota, Miami. Um, and again, going back to that, like when you throw the quarterback in plus the wide receiver rankings, where does that put a team like the ones where you got Stafford and then that can elevate them as a group? So there's not a throw that Stafford can't make. Occasionally to the other team, but I do think that he's still an elite high end quarterback, especially when he gets some protection. But yeah, Chicago, Houston are kind of the one that round out the top 10 in the best wide receiving groups. DJ Moore, Romo Dunze, Cole Kmet. They just added Colston Loveland as their first round draft choice. Luther Burden. Uh, and they got a guy like Caleb Williams making the throws. He can also make uh, nearly any throw that's out there. So I think they're going to be a really tough one on the receiving side. And the Texans, Nico Collins, great. I hope he comes back from injury and does a really solid job coming back from that. Dalton Schultz is, top 15, they say 10 in the preseason rankings. Home Mixon, good running back, solid as receiver. But I think this is where you start getting into there's a whole bunch of teams in this like 9 to 16 range. I'm going to look at Atlanta's next. Drake London, Bijan Robinson catching the ball out of the backfield. Darnell Mooney, that makes sense. Baltimore, I was a little surprised to see Baltimore this low. I was surprised to see Washington this low because not only do they have Terry McLaurin, they also now have Deebo Samuel. So I figured this would be a little bit higher. Um, but alas, they're at 13. Um, so this is Drew calling. I'm not sure what he is up to. Um, but the Chiefs are at 14. Cowboys, I think Rasheed Rice, Xavier Worthy, yep, Kelsey's still good. CeeDee Lamb, he's probably that top five, top six wide receiver. Um, Pickens, he's got potential, um, but it it really comes down to how he behaves with uh, with the team. So, anywho, I don't have a ton else on the content list. Um, asked her if you was joining. Like joining what? The show? Question mark. Um, so yeah, Cowboys, Jacksonville, the Colts. You get a whole group. Um, that are kind of all about the same. 3 year, I tell you, last two for joining. Like, yeah, I'm gonna join the show. I'm like, cool, come on, buddy, let's do it. Buffalo, Coleman, Kincaid, um, Seahawks. Now we're getting into the. I love the fact that Green Bay's down here. They used to be really strong in that area, and just kind of fell off. So um, I'll give Drew a couple more minutes, see if he's able to pop in or not, and then. Um, oh, Drew lost access. Well, let me fix this. Send an invite to him. We can maybe get Drew on here. All right, buddy. I just shot you a link in the Discord. So hopefully you can pop into your Discord and click that link. We'll get you on. But Denver, New Orleans, Salave, I think he's been solid. Again, he's healthy. Giants have neighbors, but he's the only guy holding this whole thing up. Um, Even if the outlook is just Brock Howard, like good enough to be a handful of others, that makes sense. Dude's solid, played really, really well. Pat McMillan, again, we got Thielen on there. I think this is going to be a vastly improved rank. I think next year this is going to be much higher than 26. The Chargers, it's a shame that the Chargers are so far down on the list because I think they've got a top 10 quarterback uh, in their room. Justin Herbert is really good, and I'm really bummed to see them just not putting much around them um, to give them weapons. Garrett Wilson, Montana's nobody, no longer there. Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson's really good. It has been right from the start. So the Steelers, this is where Aaron Rodgers went to, and he went right straight to the 29th best wide receiver room. So we'll see how much he can improve a team that is otherwise no good. Um, let's see, groups and email. So just in case you can't get into um, the StreamYard, I can't type today, man. Through Discord, I will send it to him an email as well. All right, Drew, sure. I also sent you the link in email. Hopefully, one of those, either Discord or your email, can get you into the show here. Cam Moore, number one overall pick, doesn't have a whole lot to work with. Calvin Ridley, and a couple rookies. So we'll see what we've got in Tennessee. The Patriots at 31. So not that they have made anything easy on Drake May by basically having one of the worst passing or the receiving core in the NFL. And then of course the Browns, who continue to fail as a franchise in nearly every way possible. So 30 seconds. So that's kind of the look at that. Drew made it. We'll get him added to the stage. Buddy.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, say something else.
Okay, I'm going to say something else right now
Your audio.
as we troubleshoot live. No audio. All right, bye, Drew. I'm assuming he will be back here momentarily. But the fun of technical difficulties.
Okay, so here's the story.
Can you hear me better now?
No, your audio is still terrible. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's on my end. I don't know. I'm so sorry for being late.
No worries.
I got my computer updated this week, and it has knocked me off of everything that I had set up for like the last 5 or 10 years. And so I have been, as things have come up, logging back into them, and they either take no time at all, and it's great, or they take forever, and it's frustrating. And so I had my day today went normal, but the thing I do before the show got canceled, and I got knocked off my routine and just straight up ended up falling asleep. So
Must
I'm very
nice.
sorry. Yeah, I'm
good.
really sorry. That's not very cool of me to do, so I apologize.
All good. That's all right.
You sound better now.
Do I? All right. Well, unfortunately, you weren't here to tell me that I didn't sound good before.
Is anyone else here?
No, that's all right, though. It's been none the entire show.
Oh.
In fact, when I texted you and I'm like, "Are you joining?" and you're like, "Joining?" and I'm like, "The show." Then I thought, "Oh crap! Is this today? Is today not Tuesday? Did I just do this on the wrong freaking day?" And no, it is Tuesday. I was a little afraid that I took the wrong day.
No, I have completely blanked today.
No worries, man.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. For some reason, I thought you meant like magic.
Oh, yeah, that would be Fridays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it makes you feel any better about blanking on things, so I'm down in Florida right now. We closed on our house down here a couple weeks ago. Andrew's dad passed away. We flew up north, left Andrea's vehicle in the long-term parking lot at Orlando International Airport. So we drove my vehicle down, loaded for bear, with another load of stuff to come down to the new house. And And like, okay, well, let's go get your vehicle out of long-term parking because that shit adds up quick, and it's already been 10 days. And so we get down there, and I'm digging through my backpack to find her keys that I left in Michigan. I was so angry, Drew.
Oh, man.
Because not only, I mean, obviously we drove for, 1,800 miles. We're going to come down here anyway, but like, we went a week earlier because another week of long-term parking is going to add up. And I'm like, we need to get down there a week early. We'll go down there and we'll get your vehicle out. I'll work remotely. We can do things, painting and power washing, all the things that we need to do in the house in the evenings. And so we get down there, and Orlando is actually an hour further from the house. So we not only got to here, we had to go an hour just to find out that I left my effing keys back at home. And so Danny, God love him, answers the phone. I'm like, I can't find mom's keys anywhere. Are they hanging up on the key ring by chance? He's like, yep, they're right here. And that did not make me very happy. So he popped them out into the mail yesterday. We should be getting them tomorrow. And we can make another trip down to Orlando International Airport to get her vehicle.
There you go.
So, yeah, the whole brain freeze and like forgetting and been there, man.
Yeah, it's I've been exceptionally tired lately. My job is, for whatever reason, really tired. I don't know. Well, it's not just like more physical than my previous job because it was not possible to be less physical in that job.
Yeah.
So like there is a lot more walking, and like I actually lift things and carry shit around and all that kind of stuff now. And so like my body is just like, I hate to say it, but like for the last 5 years, I was just sitting in a chair for 7 hours a day, like it was literally nothing,
Yeah.
And now it's something, and so like I'm getting used to that. And so, and like yesterday I forgot, like, so this is the problem, is that like it's like little dominoes, right? So I haven't been eating as much in the mornings because I have to get to my job an hour earlier than I'm used to, like going to my previous job. Right. So I get up and I have like something small, like a bagel and some coffee, and which is fine for breakfast. And then I usually bring a snack, like a Nutri-Grain bar, to work, and then I have like a normal size lunch and then a normal size dinner. Maybe lunch is a little bit smaller than I'm used to, but like I imagine I did some math the other day. I'm like 900 to 1,000 calories a day less here, plus the physicality, than my previous job. So, which is good.
Wait.
Yeah. So like, which is good because over the long haul, it's gonna be more healthy for me. But like, my body is not used to like, I have less calories and like I'm expending more of them, and like that has not become normal yet. And so like I came home and I started playing a video game on my computer, and then I got to the point where I was like nodding off like at the table. So I just went to a chair and woke up
and finished nodding off.
Yeah, and then I saw your text and I was like, joining? The fuck? Everything I have today is canceled. So
that's funny.
You know what? And what's weird was that at work I was thinking about topics for the show. It doesn't matter. What have you talked about, Mike?
So this was just kind of a random, and I talked to nobody. There was basically nobody watching, which was fantastic because I couldn't disappoint anybody that way.
Right.
So I talked about some just random things on the NFL.com site. They talked about their top players most likely to be improved this year. No Lions on that list, but there were some interesting ones like Bryce Young was on there, CJ Stroud, Deebo Samuel. So some guys that maybe had a down year. They had a estimated number or predicted number of wins for each team in each division. In the NFC North, they have us winning the division. They have us at 10.0 wins, and Green Bay was like 9.8, and Chicago was 9 point something. And then Minnesota was 8.7 wins. So there was basically like 1.3 win differential between the worst, which is Minnesota, and the best, which was us. So I think it's going to be a really tight division. But
I don't think it's going to be tight at all.
They had us at 10 wins. I think that's low. I think we're going to be probably at 12.
Well, so
we have a real tough schedule.
Yeah, we have a tough schedule. That's true.
Yeah.
All these teams we got to play each other, right? And Detroit's done really well inside the division the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Do you know who has done really poorly in the division the last 2 years? The Packers. The Packers are 1-5 in the division in the last 2 seasons, which means I think that the Vikings have swept them. Well, they were 1-5.
Well, I know we swept them.
Yeah. So last year the Vikings and the Lions both swept the Packers, and the Packers split with the Bears. So I like what Minnesota has done, and I think they did a nice job this offseason of raising the floor of their team. They addressed the interior of their interior and their interior. Jesus Christ.
Take a nap, Drew.
You're clearly tired. Of their offensive and defensive lines. But, like Sam Darnold left, and they are going to have to have J.J. McCarthy come in and be good right away. And, like, the number of quarterbacks who come in and, like, whether you want to call it his rookie year, the first year that he's taking snaps under center and are good, like, the guys that you can name that do that become, like, top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like Jaden Daniels, right? Like, I don't even think that, like, Justin Herbert, who I heard you talking about a little bit earlier, I mean, I think he's a top 10 quarterback in this league, but I don't remember what he looked like as a rookie.
He played really well as a rookie, and they missed the playoffs because the rest of the team around him was not good.
So I think
he won Rookie of the Year his rookie year.
Oh, that's really good.
Let's take a look. But to your point, they do actually have Minnesota. They also did the most improved teams, not just most improved players. They had Minnesota on there. I'm not a big fan. Like, I think they made some decent moves, but I'm not sure JJ is necessarily a big improvement over what Darnold did last year.
He's not.
Right? So, like, I'm not sure how you put that as the most improved. But they also did have Chicago up there. So we got 2 NFC North teams in their most improved teams list. So I thought it's going to be a tough division.
So I just don't think that it's going to be. Here's why. Okay, so, like, here's why I don't think it's going to be as difficult as I think it's going to be as difficult as you think it's going to be. So the issue with Chicago, I think Chicago is the most improved team in the division, and I think it's by a mile.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Johnson.
It's really tough to improve on a 15-win team.
Correct.
The floor is so high, right?
Very difficult.
That's why when you look at these teams on this list, the Las Vegas Raiders, they're so bad. Any mediocre improvement is a huge improvement, right?
Yeah.
Who else was that way? The New England Patriots was on that list. They were so bad. Any improvement is going to be a big improvement. It's really hard for us.
Yeah. No, and, like, I'm happy to not be on the list, because it's like, oh, you're already good. Neat.
Yeah.
Like, it's good. But Chicago and Minnesota essentially did the same thing this offseason. They both went out They improved the interior of their offensive line. They added talent to their defensive line. And in the draft, the Bears added playmakers. I don't remember what Minnesota did in the draft. But I still think the problem with all the other teams in the NFC North is, like, talk to me about them when we see what their quarterbacks look like when the regular season starts. So, like, JJ, total question mark. Okay, how much, if anything, has Ben Johnson improved Caleb Williams? I would hope it would be a lot, just like scheming him up to be successful. And then what does... That's fine. What does what's his name, Jordan Love, look like this year? So like last year he was hurt a little bit, and they added a wide receiver, but like, unless that wide receiver that they added is a domino that is going to make all their other wide receivers better, like, I'm still not scared of their wide receiver core. And like, for as good as Minnesota's playmakers have been, their offensive skill position players, I still don't, like, they haven't hurt Detroit really. I mean, like, it's not like, oh shit, Justin Jefferson, and like, well, this week is a loss because of him, rats, or, and like, Jordan Addison is not proven to be like the kind of a matchup. Oh, that's right, they added Donovan Jackson, so
their overall grade for the draft was a C-, which
none
of them have played a game yet. So right.
Well, that's the fun thing about grades, right? Like, we're not grading how good the players are; we're grading the process that went into selecting those players. So.
The anticipated potential of that player at the pick that they were drafted. Which is a whole bunch of vague guesses, all like lined up as like dominoes.
It's speculation, right? So, but like, so like we talked, like, so you just mentioned, like, Detroit is not on this list, right? Because they quote unquote didn't get better. Because how do you really get better,
right?
When you're this team, like, I think that's a good
Buffalo's not on there either,
right? And like, they signed Joey Bosa, and they had a nice draft again. But like, they're also not on the most improved list or whatever, because they're good, right? And like, when you're talking about being improved, you're talking about teams that were bad, so it's kind of.
And I will note that 0 of the teams on this list were playoff teams last year.
That should be like a criteria. Like, you shouldn't be on the list if you were a playoff team, I don't know. I just don't think that the other teams have done anything really fundamentally different with their approaches that's going to give them any kind of, like, okay, so let me ask you this then. Let's flip it around. What do you think the other teams in the North have done that provides them an advantage over the Lions this upcoming season?
Oh, I don't think they've done anything that gives them an advantage over us.
So there you go.
But I do think that they've improved their teams enough that they are going to win more games this year than they did last year against not Detroit Lions, teams, right? Against others, teams other than us. So, when Chicago played, I don't even know what their schedule was last year, so I'm just going to completely make this up. But if Chicago played Carolina and lost, I think they've improved enough where they beat them this year, right? It's those kinds of things where I think when they played other C level teams that they lost to, I think they beat those C level teams this year. I still think that they have not done enough to beat us. So I don't think they're a threat to us. I think the threats to us are Baltimore, Cincy, Kansas City, and Philadelphia. Like, those are the teams that are still a threat to us, not our division.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, I think I mean, I think that during our like pick'em show or whatever, once the schedule came out, like I think I predicted a sweep of the division, but like I guess that one of these teams could, on the right day, beat the Lions.
Any given Sunday, right?
You gotta play the games, right? So, but if you played each of these teams 10 times, I think the Lions beat all of them at least 7 out of the 10 times, and which is nice because means you're good. But how much will Frank Ragnow's absence mean? Incorporating the new players, like
not just Frank, we also lost Zeitler.
It's true.
And our offensive coordinator. So I think we're going to take a step back this year for 2 reasons. Number one, it's really hard to win 15 games in general, and to do it 2 years in a row is really, really hard. So I think you almost automatically take a step back from that. That said, our defense is healthy, and hopefully we'll not have 19 people on IR on defensive side of the ball, right? And so that should help us, right? So I don't know, but I also think that the teams that we are playing against on the road, we've got one of the toughest road schedules in the NFL, and to think that we're going to beat all of them is probably crazy. To think that we're going to only lose 1 or 2 of those, I feel like it's going to be worse than that again, because any given Sunday. But then again, also any given Sunday means we could go 17-0. We could beat those really hard teams each of those Sundays, because who knows, right? I just think it's super unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. But I mean, I think it's unlikely. But I mean, I also struggle to see where Cincinnati has a real advantage, that they can just consistently take advantage of it time after time after time after time. And like, their defense is appalling. Like, I think the Lions match up well with Kansas City. I think that let me see, who else let me look at this. We play Pittsburgh this year. Oh yeah, we play the NFC North this year.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like,
we own Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, right? So I mean, like, so I mean, when I think about, like, I mean, Pittsburgh is not quote unquote Pittsburgh. Like, I think Cincinnati has a fatal flaw. Like, I think they match up well against Kansas City. Like,
Baltimore,
Washington could be tough. Baltimore's always tough.
Baltimore, Washington, and Philly, I think, are going to be our 3 hardest games.
Yeah.
I think LA, Cincy, and Kansas City will be all difficult, not unbeatable. And none of these are unwinnable games, right? We are good enough to win against any team in the NFL. I just don't think we're going to do it 17 times. So of the times that we're not going to win, like, I think the hardest games for us are Baltimore, Washington, Philly. The next kind of set is going to be LA, Cincy, and Kansas City. Those are going to be 6 tough games. And I think that we can probably win at least 3 of those, if not 4. And then we'll just have a random game where Goff throws 5 interceptions, and we're not playing against Chicago and are able to come back, right? So I think we're probably going to have anywhere between 3 and 5 losses, assuming good health. Poor health, then anything can happen, right? If we lose key players like we did on defense, if that happened on offense, we'd be completely screwed.
Oh, they were so lucky in the sense that if half of their losses, half of their injuries on defense had been on the offensive side of the ball, like, it's a completely different season.
Yeah.
Like, defense was the only place where you could lose all those guys and still have a season at all. So I mean,
it's an offensive focused league, right?
Right. So yeah, I mean, like, I think that it's this time of year is like, you have these lists where it's like, like Minnesota, Green Bay, Las Vegas, they all got better. Yeah, that's because they had some deficiency they had addressed. Detroit lost their coordinators, and we have to play a number 1 seed schedule. Okay, well, I mean, if you're good, then you're just playing teams that are as good as you are, not necessarily better than. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And what is this?
Yeah. So this was the other thing. Because I got to bounce out real quick. And you can kind of take over now that you're in. If you want to keep rolling,
we'll just call it. Yeah.
But this was the other thing that I talked about was PFF had their wide receiver core rankings. They've got Philadelphia at 1, Tampa Bay at 2, Cincy at 3, Detroit at 4.
Okay.
I thought this was a little high. They do have a lot of depth, though, so they've got a crazy depth. But we've got 1A or 1B, depending on where you want to put him and Justin Jefferson. And I think T. Higgins is probably a top 8 wide receiver as well. So, like, just having those two that good boosted up, they just don't have the depth. Detroit at 4.
I would go. Right. I would go. I don't know. They're really going hard on the number 3 plus options for Philadelphia and Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah.
And like I think of Jalen McMillan, and I think of Emeka Egbuka, and I was like, one hasn't done anything, and the other one didn't do anything in the year that he was in the NFL. So like, question marks to both. A lot of potential, neat, but every player on Detroit's lists, I don't know if they have Tesla on there.
They do not.
Okay, so all of those players are proven. So like, I would put it at Cincinnati. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are exceptional wide receivers. They have 2 ones, 2 number 1 overall wide receivers. I don't know that any other team has that. And then I would say Detroit, and then I would go Philly. And
you
I would
could maybe make the case that Devonta Smith could be a 1.
Okay.
But that's about it. But they do have like AJ Brown.
Right.
So
who is a definitive one. Right.
Yes.
So I don't care. I mean, PFF to me, I'm happy to go and get the data from them.
Yeah.
Still, but like I am to the point now where I'm like, the people that are now in a position to make content for that website are now tailoring it to what's going to get them clicks and drives, and like what drives content.
It's not as data driven.
Well, so I think that they are like what they sell, where they make their money is selling their product to the NFL teams, right? So that's not going to change. Right. But like the people making that product are the analysts that don't get to write articles. Those are the ones who are doing 20 players a week or whatever and like grading them. But and then the guys who are making content, I think are taking that data and taking it from what I really liked when I found them 3 or 4 years ago, which was like cold analytical. This is what the data says. Yeah. And now it's like, this is really fun. And like, this is bubblegum and like all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't know that I like this nearly as much. So I'm going to use it as a reference site, but I'm not going to take content like this.
Yeah.
Because this is opinion based.
Yeah. And so I was looking at like, you got Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, both of which I think are top 10 wide receiver in the NFL still. And I'm like, at 8 behind a washed up Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle's good, right? Don't get me wrong. But like, I'm not sure I would put Puka plus Devontae Adams. And Tutu Atwell's okay. Whittington's okay. Higbee is like, he's not Kittle, right? He's not Kelsey. He's not even Sam Laporta.
He's definitely not.
Earlier, I likened him to Brandon Pettigrew. Not an elite guy, but the dude catches the ball when you throw it to him. So like, these are okay, but like, I think these two guys are still top 10 in the NFL. And I don't know why some of the other teams that have 2 top 10 in the NFL wide receivers are way up high and they're way down at 8. Like, I would put them well ahead of Dolphins. I would probably put them ahead of, for sure, San Francisco. I'd drop them below Minnesota even. Like, I'm not sure, to your point, is this truly data-driven or is this a little bit more agenda / bubblegum driven?
I don't know. I mean, like, I think that where the difference comes in with me and these rankings is I probably agree with them for the first 2 wide receivers for every team on the list.
Yeah.
And then like they're tie breaking based upon 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And that's probably where my opinion is gonna differ, you know?
Yeah.
So ultimately though, it doesn't matter because that's not important.
Yeah.
You know,
it's fun, right?
Yeah, it's just fun.
Especially when your teams are up there.
Right. Yeah, I think Detroit should be higher, but I always do. So.
All right, man. I got to bounce.
Yeah,
you look like you probably just need another nap or something, right?
Yep. So not our best performance. That's okay.
That's all right.
We're allowed one, I suppose, every year. And this is a fine time to do it. No one saw.
Yeah, the doldrums of the off season is right now.
Right.
So next Tuesday, though.
Yeah, we'll be back.
We'll have stuff to talk about. There's gonna be all sorts of stuff.
We'll do something. Yeah.
All right, buddy. I will talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one, buddy.
You too. See ya.
Bye-bye.